This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, some of Dunedin's mayoral candidates front up to questions from the city's most vulnerable residents. We'll find out how school children have helped to reveal the harmful effects of dredging on Otago Harbour. And Invercargill school pupils learn a valuable lesson as they prepare for an upcoming journey. Good evening, I'm Rebecca Dupree. All but one of the Dunedin mayoral candidates have been engaging with some of the city's most vulnerable residents. Various organisations involved in poverty, disability and social services organised a forum to question the hopeful leaders, but some weren't satisfied with the answers.
Keep to time or it's the water pistol. That was the message from MC Mike Tonks to the 10 Dunedin mayoral candidates who showed up to a forum at the Regent Theatre. It was organised by a range of local organisations, including the Disabled Persons Assembly and Connect South, formerly known as the Dunedin Council of Social Services. Its executive officer, Alan Shanks, says candidates were given 3 set questions.
The reason being is that, some of the forums have had open opportunities for public to make some of their own particular questions, but for the time restraint we have, and because of the number of candidates that are standing for the mayoralty in Dunedin, time-wise it just hasn't been possible for us to be able to get a lot of response from the public. So that's why we sort of gave them preemptive questions so that they could think about it and make some real positive response in the 5 minutes they've been given.
Without exception, candidates began answering the set questions, then turned to campaigning on their own platforms. Only a couple of them really hit on the disability sector, to the dismay of some organisers.
I think what they should be focusing on from a disability perspective is ensuring that the council makes all services accessible to disabled people as well as the built environment. They're responsible for those 2 areas.
The meeting was signed by a translator for deaf members of the audience, some of whom applauded in sign language to show their thanks. Ford believes the current councillors have worked well with the disability sector. However, he says more can be done.
From our perspective, what we'd like to see is a continuation of that relationship in terms of, for example, the retention and continuation of the Disability Issues Advisory Group. That's an advisory group that advises council on disability-related issues.
The main thrust of questions mayoral candidates faced was centred around the disabilities and social services area and what each hopeful contender would promise to do for the sectors. Daryl Baser, The South Today.
Road safety improvements along Otago Peninsula are a step closer with the awarding of a design contract. Construction of the $20 million project is expected to begin in the middle of next year. It'll include road widening and the extension of cycling and pedestrian paths. The Dunedin City Council is partnering with the New Zealand Transport Agency, which is paying for just over half the project. Strong public support for the upgrade has seen it fast-tracked. The design contract has been awarded to GHD New Zealand, which will start activity on site in the coming months. Dredging has a harmful impact on the harbour, according to the results of a local study. Children of all ages have been working alongside scientists to gauge the impact of harbour development, and now their work program is being extended by the government.
Local school children have confirmed that dredging harms aquatic life. Dunedin pupils ranging in age from recent entrants to high schoolers have spent much of this year studying the effects of dredging on Otago Harbour. University of Otago senior lecturer Chris Hepburn says he isn't surprised to have learnt something from the youngsters.
I'm pretty impressed by their capability and their knowledge. A lot of the stuff we'd almost teach at university level, so they're not doing stuff too far away from what the job might be in the future, so I'm really impressed by what they can do.
The study was part of a nationwide pilot science scheme which has high school pupils working with scientists to research specialist topics. Today's presentation of local results included a government announcement to expand the program.
So very excited to announce that the Participatory Science Platform has had its funding extended through till the end of next year. So one of our 3 funding areas is Otago, and so that means that the Otago Museum will be able to solicit more applications and get a whole lot more projects like this funded through till end of 2017.
Port Otago has resource consent to increase the size of the channel in Otago Harbour. The company's scientist was on hand this afternoon outlining the reasons behind the development.
We are doing as much work as possible to make sure that the dredging that we are doing doesn't affect the environment, and we have mitigation measures in place as well to, if there is any potential effects from the dredging, to mitigate those.
Magruder says she's impressed by the work of all involved in the study and admits Port Otago's dredging of the harbour is a contentious issue. The pupils clearly enjoyed presenting their findings after learning about the past, present and future of Otago Harbour. Daryl Baser, The South Today.
A 50-year-old woman remains in a serious but stable condition at Dunedin Hospital following a shooting in Invercargill last night. Police have identified the 29-year-old man they believe is responsible as Kevin Johnston. His body was found by officers inside an Otatara Road house just after midnight. Police say he appeared to have suffered from a self-inflicted injury and his death has been referred to the coroner. There are reports the 50-year-old woman is his mother. Police haven't confirmed that, saying only that the two were related. Invercargill primary school pupils are preparing for a journey across Fovo Strait. The Year 6 students at Sacred Heart School are fundraising for an upcoming camp on Stewart Island, and they've been learning a valuable lesson in the process.
Making the most of a diversion away from class, Sacred Heart School pupils have been enjoying a fundraising market for those heading to camp on Stewart Island. Teachers say the preparation itself has involved a valuable lesson.
It's awesome for them just to show that you do need to work to make a little bit of money, and camp it's $250, and it just teaches them that money doesn't grow on trees and it's not just handed out.
The Year 6 pupils heading to camp have been busy over the last few weeks, spending hours in the kitchen making sellable treats.
Some of them have been baking for quite a wee while. I know Kate's been baking for a few weeks each night.
But it wasn't just sugar tempting buyers at the market, where a range of creative crafts were for sale. Stalls offering accessories and playful wardrobe additions were also popular.
One of the girls knitted some cats and owls with her nana. We've got some hair accessories with bows and headbands and clips and things like that.
For some of the children, the camp at Stewart Island will include their first fishing experience. Students will also be involved in activities with the Department of Conservation. But even this market fundraiser has them buzzing.
I enjoyed selling my things and seeing all the happy faces after I was selling my gingerbread men. They've actually got some really cool stuff that they're selling, like really funky, nice stuff that they're selling. Being able to fundraise and learn that money just doesn't come from anything, that you've got to fundraise sometimes to go places like Stewart Island for camp. I enjoyed everyone being happy and seeing everyone smile and selling my things that I made.
The Year 6 pupils will be heading to camp on the 26th, ready to enjoy the fruits of their labour. Rosie Mannins, The South Today.
Still to come on The South Today, we meet the last of Invercargill's mayoral candidates.
Hi, my name is Ronald Fong. I believe that together we can build a brighter future for Dunedin. I'm presenting two major infrastructure proposals that won't cost the ratepayer a single cent. The first is a flood protection scheme for South Dunedin based on successfully used displacement tent systems overseas. The second is a major new redevelopment of our harborside area to create a world-class community space. Vote Ronald Fong, and let's build a brighter future together. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Doug Hall. I stood for council in the 2013 election and got elected. The achievements I've been part of in the last 3 years have been of a great benefit to Dunedin City. Reducing debt, improving contracts and better liaison with the general public. To further reduce debt and better management of all contracts. Vote Doug Hall, first choice for council.
Hello, I'm Isla McLeod and I'm standing for the Dunedin City Council. I'm recently returned from Christchurch where I spent 2 terms on a community board as Deputy Chair or Chair. I was on the Water Management Zone Committee and I was on the board or a member of several environmental groups. And now I'd like to use all of that knowledge and experience for the good of Dunedin. And if it's good for Dunedin, it's good for you.
Hello, my name is Malcolm Dixon. I'm standing for the Dunedin City Council. I've been in retail for 40 years in Dunedin and I would like to see some changes in the city. I'm passionate about growing business opportunities in Dunedin. Transport and parking issues are important to me, and flooding and management of city assets, especially in South Dunedin area, are a major issue. So remember to vote for Malcolm Dixon at Dunedin City Council.
Your voting papers for the Dunedin City Council and Otago Regional Council elections are in the mail and should be with you soon. If you don't have your papers by the 22nd of September, call 477 4000 or drop into the DCC Customer Services Centre in the Octagon. Please read the instructions carefully to make sure your vote counts. More information about candidates and how the voting systems work is available at dunedin.govt.nz/elections. Remember, you have the right to vote. Don't be left out. Vote early.
Welcome back. Well, tonight we have the last of our interviews with the Invercargill mayoral candidates, and here's Holly Buchanan.
Current Mayor and standing for re-election in Invercargill, Tim Shapbolt. Thanks
Good
for joining
evening.
us.
Oh, great to have you down here.
So tell us, why are you running for the mayoralty again?
Well, I think as a mayor, you've got to have someone who's an experienced political warrior. You've got to be able to fight, and we've had some grand battles. Southland and Otago joined together when neurological services were going to be cut at the hospital in Dunedin, and we won that battle. We fought over access of meat to the US markets, and we picketed the American Embassy along with ACT Party, Federated Farmers and the 3 mayors of Southland, and we won that battle. And you're always looking at school closures, cuts in the health services. All provincial cities are facing these challenges, and so it's good if you've got the ability to fight on a political level, of course.
Tell us a bit about the leadership experience that you bring to the table.
Well, there are some people that say we need new blood and fresh people, but I reckon you can't beat experience at the end of the day, because it's a complex area, local government. 39,000 people are employed in our sector. Even though we're the smallest city in New Zealand, our budget's 100 million a year, and you've got to be up with the play, and especially in terms of infrastructure. We've seen the tragedy of what happened in the Hawke's Bay when the water was contaminated, and we are building here a state-of-the-art purification plant, and I've managed to push that through before the tragedy that happened in the Hawke's Bay. So it's always 70% of your money is always committed to infrastructure and more improved infrastructure.
What do you see as the top 2 issues currently facing Invercargill?
Well, I believe electricity is the key, because they're going to cut back on coal and carbon emissions and any fossil fuels, and so we're very much dependent on electric power for heating and washing and cooking, everything virtually in our homes. And we have to pay transmission costs for our electricity to be shipped up to the North Island. The South Island pay the entire cost of the Cook Strait cable, and we believe that is not fair. It's not fair on our main industry here, which is the Tiwai smelter, who are paying $30 million more than they should be, because they're so close. Right next door is the Manapuri power plant. Why should transmission costs be so high? And then it's a double whammy, because we have to pay the transport costs for diesel to get shipped down here. So we're paying twice. And I think the community gets upset about issues like that, and so they should.
What do you consider to be the core functions of the Invercargill City Council?
Well, it will always be, as I've said, infrastructure, but yet it's no point in having a wonderful city and no one living in it. So for us, it's population decline, and for 30 years we were the fastest declining city in New Zealand or Australia. So we had to do something drastic, and we brought in zero fees. And we went from 1,000 students to 5,000 students. We built a campus in Queenstown, a campus in Christchurch, and it really lifted the city. And it also lifted our profile. We were seen as a smart city from then on. Instead of being a sort of rural, dying backwater, we suddenly were on the cutting edge of education. And of course, we just needed to look over the fence to Otago to see how education had really impacted in Dunedin City and in the Otago region. And so I think we added to that vision of being an educational hub for the whole country, and in fact now the whole world.
How do you think that the current council is performing?
I think this is quite a good balance. We do need one or two younger people, and I think that will happen because one of our elders are retiring and some have been considering it. So there'll probably be one or two changes on council. But it's good to have a mix. We don't have any problems that they have, say, in New Plymouth, where the Mayor tried to introduce a more ethnically balanced council. We, just through the ordinary electoral process, have always had 2 or 3 Ngāi Tahu representatives sitting at the table, and we haven't had to make any special allowance to achieve that. They've got there on their own rights. And so I think it's a good council.
If re-elected, is there anything that you would do differently?
Well, yes, there's always. I would not send any of my council staff to China to buy Christmas lights, you know. We always, and I would not have put up the project of A to B yacht race based on the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. But look, when it comes to events and tourism, you're always going to make 1 or 2 mistakes. You've got to balance that out with the Bert Munro Challenge, the Bluff Oyster Festival, the real successful things we've done. And I believe on balance, we've been a good average provincial city on the one hand, and been really quite innovative on the other hand. And the only way you cannot make the odd mistake is to do nothing. Just sit on your hands, keep the seat warm. And I'll never be like that.
What do you think is the most important function of the Mayor?
Well, as a Mayor, you're really a promoter for your region. So even when it's tough times, like the floods we had here in 1984, it's the Mayor that has to front up and give confidence to the people. But when you succeed and are successful, the Mayor has to be a good promoter. You have to be articulate, you have to be able to stand up in front of 1,000 people without fear and deliver in an English language that is easy for them to understand, often very complex issues. So you're a link between the council and the people that you represent. And I think it helps if you're well known. If you're a household name, it's like you've been in people's lounges. You're part of their life, you're part of their family, so they're likely to listen to you a bit more.
Do you have the skills to continue leading the council?
Well, we're about to find that out, and that's the wonderful thing about democracy. The people have an area that can let you know. And we also do mayor's polls down here when there's a controversial issue that has divided the council. We take out an advert in the local express and we see directly what the people think, beside, of course, the normal involvement we have through the annual plan and the long-term plan where people can make submissions.
Where do you think Invercargill's future lies?
Well, I think greater diversity, and we have achieved it with, we were sheep and beef when I came down here. I went to Mystery Creek for 21 years and kidnapped a few Waikato farmers, and we had the white gold rush. it was almost too many cows in a short time. 30,000 when I arrived here. Now we've got 750,000 and they poo in the rivers. But I mean, so do freedom campers. You've got to put these things in perspective. But now we're getting into sheep milk because the price of cow's milk dropped a bit. We were into venison in a big way. Of course, the aluminium is vital to us from the Tiwai smelter. So I think we're reaching quite a greater diversification of our local economy, and tourism now is the icing on the cake.
What do you love about Invercargill?
I like the integrity and honesty and passion, and I think humanitarianism, and it's often we're seen as a bit of a redneck city, but I'd say we were the only city in New Zealand that I went and hired a bus and filled it up with students from the SIT, and we went straight to Christchurch and helped with removing liquefaction from people's lawns and giving them fresh water. And I think people like to see a council is businesslike, but has a conscience and is compassionate as well. And Invercargill's squarely fits in, I believe, into that mode.
Why should Invercargill ratepayers and residents vote for you?
Well, I believe in experience, as I've said over and over again. I think you can't beat it. And I think if they want that continuity, the security, we spend $100 million a year of their money, and I think the feeling is better the devil you know. They want to feel that the person they trust with the future development of the city is someone they know or feel they know. And I think that's an important part of being a mayor. I've married 300 couples. I'm out there all the time mixing. And because I'm a recognisable figure, I suppose, they come up to me and talk to me quite openly about what their fears and hopes and dreams and what they'd like to see council doing and what complaints they have about the council as well. So I think being approachable and having the X factor, whatever that means, does help.
Mayoral candidate Tim Shepard, thanks very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Well, after the break on The South Today, we'll check out weather for Thursday.
Silberhorn's Collagen Plus naturally supports your collagen levels, giving you younger, firmer-looking skin, healthier, shinier hair and stronger nails. Be quick, buy one now and get a second pack half price. Call 0800 502 402.
Pregnant? Need to talk? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pregnancy counselling services are here to help. It's free, it's confidential. Call us now on 0800 773 462.
We need your help to rebuild our animal centre urgently. Please give a little today.
When it's time to say goodbye to your pet, Heaven Sent Pet Cremations are here to help you through this difficult experience. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today for their care and guidance. Phone 489 2274.
Hi, I'm Dave Cole, Mayor of Dunedin, and together we're building a great city, not just for now, but for the future. And I'm committed to creating a positive legacy of sensible investments, sustainable businesses, an emphasis on infrastructure and environment, healthier homes, and your community well-being. A future our kids can be really proud to inherit. If you want the same positive future, please mark 1 for Dave Cole for Mayor and return your voting form. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Bruce Fairhurst.
The City Council is a giant decision-making machine, and every year they make thousands of decisions that affect ratepayers, some in a small way, some in a large way. It's really important that those decisions are fair, made in a democratic way, and made with accurate and reliable information. I've lived my entire life in Dunedin, and I love it here. I've been working in the construction industry all of that time. I've seen massive changes in the consent process, making it difficult to build or improve your property. I see opportunities to make this process much more user-friendly. Vote Bruce Fairhurst with a 1. I'm looking forward to joining a talented team on the council this term and making Dunedin the best city it can possibly be.
Hi, I'm Dave Yardley and I'm standing for the Otago Regional Council. Two of Otago's greatest resources are our outstanding natural landscape and our capability for agriculture. Getting the balance right between preservation of that landscape and intensification of farming is a real challenge. To meet that challenge, we need a firm understanding of both our environment and our land-based businesses. I have that understanding to ensure that our landscape and farming can coexist in harmony for generations to come. A vote for Dave Yardley is a vote for reason, balance and integrity.
Welcome back, and now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Various disability, poverty and social service agencies are engaging Dunedin's mayoral candidates in issues affecting vulnerable residents. Children from almost a dozen schools are revealing the results of their research into the effects of dredging in Otago Harbour. And Sacred Heart School pupils are learning the value of money while fundraising for an upcoming camp on Stewart Island. And we're going to find out now what's happening in tomorrow's Otago Daily Times, and Craig Page, Deputy Editor, joins us. Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, we've got some good positive news for Dunedin. The latest quality of life survey is out today, and it surveys the main cities around New Zealand. Dunedin's topped the polls with 88% of residents saying that they're pretty happy with their quality of life in Dunedin. Only 81% for the other parts of the country. So we'll have a full rundown of what makes Dunedin so special in tomorrow's paper. It's an interesting court case today as well. Lots of problems over the years with students lighting fires down in the student area. We had a Japanese student today who was charged with lighting a fire. It was with intentional damage of lighting a cushion on Hyde Street. Was thrown out by the judge. His lawyer argued that the rubbish wasn't owned by anyone, so therefore the charge couldn't be intentional damage. The judge agreed and threw it out. It's going to cause a bit of a stir, I suspect, because they have been trying to clamp down on that. The university's also said it's going to get tough with anyone doing that. We've yet to hear from the university whether they're going to take any action themselves. But it's going to be an interesting case down the track, I think. And also, Illustrations editor Stephen Jackery's been out on the harbour today. Should have been working, but was out on the harbour instead, taking some spectacular photos of a southern right whale, which appeared there. There was some students from Dive Otago doing some diving, and it appeared under their boat and put on quite a display for them. So lovely photos.
Wonderful. See that in tomorrow's ODT. Thanks, Craig. Time now for tomorrow's weather.
The South Today weather update proudly brought to you in association with Silverhorns Emu Oil.
Here's our southern view. It's taken of Pioneer Park in Alexandra. To the situation, a weak ridge of high pressure remains the dominant weather feature, with a light easterly airflow washing cold, humid air onto eastern coasts and bringing areas of low cloud and mist to the Otago coast, but mostly fine weather elsewhere. Some cloud around for the Catlins and Balclutha. We're looking for fine weather for these towns, and fine weather for Twizel and Marama, 13 and 14 respectively. At Dunedin tonight, cloudy with a low of 3. Tomorrow and Friday, mostly cloudy with the odd sunny period. Light sou'easters, 13 degrees for tomorrow and also Friday. And fine in Invercargill tonight with a low of 0. Sunny with light winds tomorrow and Friday. Fog patches possible at night, 14 degrees. Good night.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.